Hello, I'm BX Toycat and welcome back to QnA Saturday. QnA Saturday is a weekly series I run on my channel where I answer your questions, usually revolving around Minecraft Xbox and Minecraft PlayStation and the next big update for those games. So all of these questions do come from last week's Q&A. If you want to ask any for next week's, please leave them in the comments down below. And while you're down there, please do like the video if you do like it. It helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like it. Anyway, let's get straight into these questions, shall we? With the very first one, which comes in from Kayleigh McDonald, who asks #Q&A, will we ever be able to create our own villager trades? And it's got 31 likes. So I figured I'd start with this one because it's a really common question and there is a lot of uses for custom villager trades. You know, you can make cool custom maps and whatnot, but unfortunately, unless command blocks ever come fully featured to the consoles, which is kind of one of those questionable things, we won't see it in its own separate implementation. So it's likely to come at some point because command blocks can be that way, but it will be complex to do it. But custom villager trades will be possible with command blocks, but we don't know when that will be. So that is the answer to your first question, Kayleigh McDonald. Let's move on to the second one, which comes in from Vlogger Pro, and this is a long one. So we'll get started with #Q&A. When Jeb tweeted out what he wanted to get at all versions of Minecraft equal, won't there be some things that can't come, like the Void or a new entity in Minecraft 1.9 for the Xbox 60, PS3 and mobile edition? If this is really happening, when do you think it will come out? So I actually do have a little bit of inside knowledge from the 4J guys on this one. So the moment they announced that the end was going to be massively expand with all these entities and whatnot, I spoke like maybe an hour after to a lot of the 4J development team, and I was speaking to them and I was like, oh, you hear this thing? How's that going to work in the current console end? And at first of all they were just like, oh, we can probably make anything happen if we work on it. But then I was like, but isn't the console end limited? And I was like, is there any way to fix that? And they all just looked at each other for a moment and he's like, I know the answer to that question, but I can't tell you. But he was very sure that it could be done basically, but he had to be very subtle about telling me. And to me, that's saying, yes, we can expand the end to be whatever size we need it to be. So, they can make this stuff happen, especially with the way the entities work. So yeah, the entities, it's definitely a thing which can come to the console. The Void, the only reason it's not on the console, it really doesn't add too much to the game. Obviously, at some point, they could make it happen. But I think, a lot of people, when they read this, they misinterpret the way it was meant to be said. Because he said we want all versions be equal, but there's some features that don't make sense on some platforms. In those cases, they won't do it. So, the Void, apparently, the console, the 4J team obviously don't think are working on consoles, so they're not going to do it. And there are some PC features that will probably make their way to the Pocket Edition. There are some console features that will never make their way to the PC version. There's always going to be some exclusive features, but there'll never be an exclusive feature that makes no sense. So, Beetroot will be on all three platforms. It's a simple thing. Why not put it there? The new boats, they'll come to all three platforms. Stuff like that, you've got to think they will come to all the platforms. However, there's some things that just don't make sense on all three platforms, and apparently the Void comes in that category. So that was quite a long question, but hopefully that answered what you had to say. Anyway, the next one comes in from SPG Shaunafin. But yeah, he asks, whereabout in Scotland might see you? So yeah, last week I mentioned I was going to be doing quite a bit of travelling this summer, and I mentioned I was going to, Scotland and Germany, and also Belgium. But yeah, in Scotland, I am going to Glasgow, and that will be in a week or so. Week as from this Q&A. So there's a chance you'll see me in Glasgow. It's probably unlikely, but yeah, I'll be in Glasgow next week for a couple of days. Glasgow is one of those funny cities. Like, you've probably heard of it if you're not from Scotland, but like, there's this really weird effect of Glasgow where like apparently everyone there just lives 10 years less than normal. So I reckon there's like a nuclear radiation site under there or something. I choose to imagine it'll actually be something like that. But yeah, I will be in Glasgow next week, and I'm sorry if I subtly insulted you. Please don't murder me. But yeah, let's move on to the next question, which comes in from the Unicorns, who asks #Q&A, do you live near Brighton, and will you ever visit Brighton? I actually visit Brighton quite a lot. I don't really live near it. Like, by American standards, like anywhere in the UK is close to anywhere in the UK, but by the UK standards, I'm actually like halfway across the country from it. But there's a direct train which goes from my town all the way to Brighton, so it costs like very little to go there. So I've actually gone there quite a few times now. I think I've gone there 4 times, maybe 5 times. Brighton's a really cool place. It's a seaside town that's also, I know it's diverse and cool. So I like Brighton. It's pretty cool. It's got a seaside. It's got the best burger in the UK. What more do you need from a place? That's what I'll finish this question with. And let's move on to the next one, which comes in from Doc Cosimos, who asks #Q&A, will there be pandas in Minecraft? And this is one that everyone watching the video might be like, Toycat, there's not going to be pandas in Minecraft. But pandas are one of the most likely mobs to be coming, and especially in the next update, because Dinnerbone, who is now one of the big developers of Minecraft, when he first started developing Minecraft, one of the features he always wanted to get in the game was Pandas, but he could never get them to work, and now he's had this massive time between updates. I imagine Pandas are a real possibility. So, will there ever be Pandas in Minecraft? They are one of the most likely mobs, which is kind of funny, but it is actually quite true. So yeah, let's move on to the next question from Xbox Gaming 187, who asks, hashtag Q&A, will we ever be able to switch texture packs in-game? By the way, you're awesome. Thank you very much. But will we ever be able to switch texture packs in-game? So the reason we got the new host options for changing the game mode and changing the difficulty is because 4J genuinely do listen to what the community want most. I mean, they don't always put it on if it doesn't make sense, but if it's something that makes sense, of course they'll put it in the game. And after the change difficulty and the change game mode thing, so many people have been asking for the ability to switch texture packs, and I think it only makes sense that maybe next update, maybe the one after, we will be seeing more host options, and texture packs will probably be one of them. There's probably something about mashup packs that might make them unable to switch, like maybe licensing issues, but I imagine being able to switch texture packs in game is an almost certainty for some point in the future. So yeah, we will be able to switch them at some point. They do listen. Just send them a tweet if you want to. You put it on their mind one more time, because there is a guy who reads all the tweets, it turns out. He's the CEO too. It's pretty cool. But anyway, let's move on from that into the next question, which comes in from KC Films, who asks, hashtag Q&A, do you think we'll be able to put different... Oh, I moved the question around. Do you think we'll be able to put two different types of slabs on top of each other? So, unfortunately, the way you think this might work, so the way, like, if you want to have, like, a half stone slab, half sandstone slab, that's not going to be properly possible, but there is a clever little way you can make it look like you've made that thing, because all you need to do is place the top so basically place one half slab on the top half of the block, and then one half slab on the bottom half of the block on top of it, and it'll look like you've just combined two blocks together. Obviously, you have to have half slabs on the floor, but it means you can actually make this thing you want to make it look like. You just can't do it the way you want to do it right now, which is a shame, but you can technically combine two half slabs, that handy little trick, and at some point in the future, maybe, but it's going to be a long way off. So that's just something to bear in mind. Anyway, let's move on to the next question, which comes in from Player 1. Which I guess makes me a player too. But yeah, he says, Toycat, I think you've gone crazy with llamas. And the only thing I can really respond to this with is hashtag llamas confirmed. So the next question comes in from Luke Johnson, who says, do you think they'll ever release a nostalgia texture pack for those of us who enjoy the old textures? And this is a weird enough idea, but recently while I was looking for all the old textures of Minecraft for the Change Textures video, I've noticed there's so many PC texture packs that are themed in that way to have all the old textures. And although we haven't changed that many textures on console, I really do think that there will be a nostalgia texture pack of some form at some point. It's just, you got to decide, do you go back to the first console texture or the first PC texture? Because so much has changed, like the leather armor's changed, lava's changed, grass has changed, all these things have changed over time. So I think maybe in the far future when we've just, to add another texture pack to the pile, but I think before then the art team will probably be working on more unique concepts, because they do have a whole art team just focusing on these texture packs. So yeah, nostalgia texture pack will be at some point. I like the idea. There's a lot of them on PC, but whether or not happen is kind of questionable. Anyway, final question comes in from Sir Minecrafter, who asks, hashtag Q&A, how fast do you think Minecraft will develop if 4J or Mojang team was as big as one like EA Sports? So he's basically saying, instead of them being, like 20 people teams, what if they were like 200, 300 people teams? So the thing about making a game is... obviously, it's possible to have 300 people in one team, but the more people you get, the harder it is for everyone to coordinate, especially if it's a game like Minecraft. And one of the things about Minecraft that for some reason Notch has always tried to keep when he was in charge, and I guess Microsoft's trying to carry that on, is it still feels like an indie game. It's a small team of people. Dinnerbone, one of the developers, every time you put something in the game, you know about it. Every time this guy does something, you recognize it. And when you have a team of 200 people, everyone's it loses that kind of indie touch, is what I'm trying to say here. And although I don't think that's a good enough reason for them to keep it, I think that's what they're going for. The reason that they actually hired 4J Studios to port the game rather than another company is because 4J Studios are kind of just a porting, kind of small team just like Mojang. That, there's like 12 people on the development team and like 10 people on the art team for 4J, and that's it. Everyone else is on the test team and whatnot. And it's really, really, really crazy when you think about it, but I think they're deliberately trying to keep the teams not small, but medium-sized, so that they can still have the kind of touch on the game. And I'm not saying I agree with that, but I think that's what they're going for, and it might be the reason that Minecraft still feels like Minecraft and that it hasn't changed too much, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, that is the end of this Q&A. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did like it, please do like it and let me know. Share it if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel, and if subscribed, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.